Good afternoon, everybody. How are we doing? All good? Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me over. Really honored to be here. And I know it's a campus with a very focused agenda, and that's one of the most lovely things. And in the car we were discussing, I think the institute came in 1991, and I've heard of the institute but never been here. So thank you for inviting me over. What I'm going to talk about today is about every cloud has a silver lining. And while this is a saying, it is very true, because there are multiple opportunities that come our way. Each of us encounter multiple opportunities. And therefore I say that every cloud has a silver lining. Yesterday I was in the morning at the GBS, which is the Global Business Summit by the Times of India Group, one of their marquee events. That actually reminded me of the journey around 2 years back, slightly more than 2 years back, where me, my wife, daughter, and the little dog, we were all traveling from Bangalore to Delhi to take up an assignment in Delhi. And I have worked most of my working life in Bombay, Bangalore, and Chennai. So this was an assignment that got me to Delhi. Here's a picture of us. That's us traveling by train from Bangalore to Delhi 2 years back. So that's us traveling to Delhi in November, post Diwali, November 2021, to take up an assignment in Gurgaon in a company called Snapdeal, and at the age of 55. So here I was at the age of 55, going to take up the challenge of running an e-commerce company, which is largely driven by technology, data science, AI, ML, and very young industry. So here I was at the age of 55, traveling by train to take up this challenge. And the reason I say that there are opportunities that come your way, they come your way from very unexpected places. Yeah, and it comes to all of us, and it does not come once or twice. It comes several times. Yeah, and many of you would have seen this movie. If you have not seen this movie, I'll actually urge you to watch this movie. Beyond the message of hope, this movie, while it is a tale of triumph written here, the Hindi version is far more impactful, which says, "Main haar nahi manunga." Yeah, and that's the one that is really something that touches your heart. Not because he says, "Main haar nahi manunga," but if you go through the story, there are so many interesting parts to this story. And I'll take you through 2 or 3 things which I found very interesting beyond his saying, "Main haar nahi manunga." The first one is where there is this unusual act of kindness that comes his way. He is in a station, if you recollect, in the movie, and somebody actually pays for his bill. And not only does he pay for his bill, he takes him to Delhi so that he can prepare properly by attending some bhaiya's classes that bhaiya himself has never cleared UPSC. But here is this act of kindness where somebody helps him takes him with him to Delhi from out of nowhere. Right, so that's the first part, that if you're working hard, along the way in the opportunity you'll find lots of people helping you. The second great learning for me beyond "Main haar nahi manunga" is the amazing sense of serendipity. Now, what is this serendipity? This guy was actually preparing for his state civil services exam. If you've seen the movie, you'd know he's preparing for the state civil services exam. And then one fine day he discovers that exam has been cancelled. Then somebody tells him there is something bigger called UPSC. So imagine the serendipity. He didn't even know that something like this existed. And the third great learning for me beyond this "Main haar nahi manunga" is how one individual or one set of individuals or something can change your outlook. From cheating in the school, I'm forgetting the name of the SP. I think it is Dushyant Singh, if I remember correctly, who actually converts this guy from, instead of cheating, turning his life the other way around, as a result of which he becomes the only student in class who gets third class or third division, while everybody else gets a first division. Yeah, but it changes his outlook towards life. Now this is interesting because these learnings also tell you that all of us have this 12th fail or 12th fail moments in our life. We don't recognize it, but we all have these moments. Yeah. Today what I'll do is I'll take you through my such journey. No journey is identical, each journey is different, and there's very little that will be common between different individuals' journeys. But there are some parts which resonate. So what I'm going to take you through is my own journey and all the curveballs that came, and along with that the opportunities that opened up along with it. I grew up in small towns of Uttar Pradesh. I was born in Nainital. We stayed in the hills for quite a few years. My father was in Post and Telegraph Department, so we were in Nainital, Pauri Garhwal, etc. Then we were in different cities, Lucknow, Saharanpur, Bareilly. Then my father retired. I was the youngest in the family. My father retired and we moved back to Lucknow. And when we moved back to Lucknow, we started applying to all the good schools there. I was in class 9th and I didn't get into any good school because in Lucknow that time either you needed to be lucky or you needed to have influence. This is the Lucknow of the 80s. One of the two things. Either we were lucky, seats were there, or you needed to have influence. We had neither. And therefore I got admitted into one of the not so good schools with very average quality of students, actually quite poor quality students, and teachers who were not really interested in teaching. And I was very depressed because this is not what I wanted to do, and I was in class 9th. And suddenly we get a letter from the principal of the best school in Lucknow. And this was very strange because we were not expecting it, saying that we would like to offer admission to your son. To my father he wrote, saying that we have received a recommendation from his school in Bareilly. So that was the first, strange moment where I don't know from where it happened, but out of nowhere one got this opportunity. And the school is St. Francis. Anybody who's from Lucknow would know that was clearly the number one school. And here I didn't get into any school in Lucknow, good school, and was actually in one of these B grade schools. And suddenly from nowhere this opportunity came up. Grabbed it with both my hands, enjoyed my 4 years, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and I did academically very well, extremely well. So that was, something that turned into that opportunity was a great opportunity that I got. Now, my ambition in life was to join the armed forces. Essentially, my brother, elder brother, he's much older than me, 10, 11 years older. He was in the armed forces. He was through NDA, Indian Navy, and he was in naval aviation. He used to actually be on INS Vikrant, yeah, which is the original, whoever knows, older generation would know. That's the initial aircraft carrier that we had. I wanted to be in the armed forces, and I was confident that I'll get through NDA. So in 12th, I wrote the NDA exam. Of course, I cleared the NDA exam in the first go, but in the SSB, Services Selection Board, I got rejected. That was in Allahabad. And then fallback option of engineering became the primary option. And then I was scrambling to then take the next few months that I had to make the secondary option as the primary option. Again, I used to work hard. So I got admission into IIT. That time there were only 5 IITs. And I went into Kanpur. Next door was IIT-Kanpur, went there. Yeah. So that again, the setback of NDA became an opportunity. Curveball became an opportunity for me to get into IIT. 1.5, 2 years down the line in IIT, I realized that engineering was not for me. It was the herd mentality which had taken me into IIT. I was not interested in engineering. Now, what to do at this point of time? Here I was stuck in the second year with a realization, and there was no, dropping out from college to do a startup. We were in a different era altogether, so nothing of that kind. So therefore I said, what is to be done? Then I said, okay, civil services, I didn't want to write the exam. so I said, what is the other option? The other option was to do an MBA. Now, I was very reticent. I used to be actually just comfortable with friends and family, very difficult in opening up, other than friends and family that I was comfortable with, whoever knew me while I was growing up. So I said, if I continue to be this way, how will I get into a good management institute if I want to do this? So I started working very hard to get to speaking events. So much so that it's very funny that from being a reticent, person, I started representing IIT-Kanpur in cultural festivals all across in events like Jam and debates. Yeah, so that was the transition. The good part is that helped me because I had to work for a year after my engineering to get money. My father didn't have money for my education, MBA. But post that, I did make it to multiple IIMs. There were 4 IIMs that time, and I joined IIM Bangalore. So that, again, this setback of, like a herd getting into IIT, but then from there onwards, getting into, management and then working on this. We have to work hard always. I've always worked hard. Cut into campus, and okay, before that, let me just show you this is me and 2 of my very dear friends. Even now they are dear friends in IIT Kanpur. Yeah, and this is quite nice as an institute. Then in IIM Bangalore, I got into the merit list in both year 1 and year 2. I needed to be in the merit list because that gave you exemption from fees. We had full exemption from fees. And I needed that, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to have enough money to graduate. But the problem was not that. Problem was that, and I was very keen on taking up an MNC bank job. I was obsessed with it. So I did my summer internship with Citibank. That time that was the most sought after summer assignment. So I got into that and I did my summer internship with them. Then in the final placement, however, the first weekend, we used to have placement over the weekends. The first weekend, over the 2 days, I had applied for 4 or 5 jobs. I got through none of them. And I was one of those only 2 people in the merit list who were without a job after the first weekend. Yeah. The other person, by the way, I can take the name here, but he's a dear friend, was Sogata Gupta, who's the managing director of Marico. Yeah. These are very interesting things. But this also changed my life, because from there, in the next weekend, I got 2 jobs, and you were allowed to take up 2 jobs. I got a job in Lakme in FMCG marketing, and I got a job in PwC, which is consulting. I decided that if I am not going to do MNC bank, I will change my career from finance completely out to something else. So I went into FMCG marketing. So I went into Lakme, and I enjoyed my stint in FMCG thoroughly for the next several years. Cut 20 years later, almost 2 decades later, comes the next thing. Here I did pretty well, was at a reasonably young age, was running the largest electronic retail chain at that point of time in the country. Yeah, it had around 1100 stores. Yeah, life was good, everything was looking good. And then the bug of entrepreneurship got into me, and I said, I must start something. So me and 2 other colleagues who were fantastic again, one of them was an absolutely brilliant tech guy, we said we will do a startup. And the startup failed miserably. Yeah, and then I went into PE, funded another company thinking, okay, if not a startup, then let me get into something else. That also didn't work out. But what happened is, while doing so well in terms of my career, suddenly I have lost 4 to 5 years of in the prime of the career, 4 to 5 years gone, right? But life is again kind. I got an opportunity to get back into retail with Arvind, and then I got an opportunity to come back into the mainline, which is the happening industry today, which is e-commerce, fintech, new age industry at the ripe old age of 55. The point is that you get multiple curveballs thrown at you. Each of them has a silver lining. One has to work hard. I'll give you one more illustration of this before I close. I have always been into sports. So from football to hockey, from table tennis to badminton, from you take any of the sports except cricket. Most of the sports I was always interested in, other than cricket. For some odd reason, never found cricket interesting, but used to actively play. In 2010-11, I tore my ligament, and that put a stop to football for sure, and also to tennis. And then the doctor also said, you can't run, why don't you walk? No, I didn't want to walk, I wanted to run, but so I started running. Then I said, I said, let me enroll into the Mumbai Marathon. So I did for January 2013 marathon. And the good part is that I finished that marathon, but I was almost dead finishing that marathon. I was very, very, this is by the way, the startup that we did. Yeah, it was a fantastic solution, we still feel. Maybe, maybe we didn't know how to run it. Yeah, and some of my friends joke around, it's my Bengali genes which make me a person good at work but not at business. But I do not know what it is, good or bad. This is a great solution. Some other time we'll take you through this. Yeah, we worked very hard at it, but it didn't work. So then I took part in the Mumbai Marathon and I barely finished. Yeah, so that is me. I barely finished 2 hours 55 minutes, half marathon, 21 kilometers, 2013. Yeah, and here I am, that you see in October 15, I have cut 1 hour down from 2 hours 55 minutes to 1 hour 57 minutes. Yeah, and the important part is not that. Important part is that I'm extremely fit. I've probably been the fittest now that I've been in a fairly long time. And again, as I said, that tearing of the ligament, which in some ways was a great setback because I love football. Yeah, from there it gave me my mantra towards this journey. Yeah, of fitness. So the curveballs come in everyone's life. We saw it in 12th fail, we are seeing it in my case, all of you will face this in your own ways. But behind every silver lining, every cloud, there is a silver lining, provided we know how to grasp it, and provided we know how to work hard to make it work for us. And therefore the message for all of us is, you can. Thank you.